There's a conversation happening in agent circles right now, and I want to give you the actual numbers because most of what's being said leaves out these details that matter the most. With the recent Remax acquisition, a lot of agents are suddenly paying close attention to cloud-based brokerages for the very first time, which is overall really great because it is a great model. But when you're comparing models, you need to look past the headline numbers because two brokerages can sound almost identical on the surface and be structurally different underneath. In this video, I'm going to run the real comparison, the cap math, the revenue structure, the co-sponsorship differences, the stock story, and one detail about debt that doesn't get talked about enough. So let's get into it. I'm eXp. I'm a real estate agent in Tucson, Arizona, and I'm building a modern business in public. That means I share what I'm actually researching, implementing, and learning along with mistakes along the way, including the due diligence I did before choosing where I hang my own license. This is that research laid out as clearly as I possibly can. Let's start with the split and cap comparison because this is where agents get tripped up. Both cloud-based brokerages require $80,000 in gross commission income to cap. That is the same number, but how you get there looks different. eXp runs an 80-20 split with a $16,000 cap. The competing cloud brokerage runs an 85-15 split, and what started as a $12,000 cap but has now increased to $15,000. And here's the thing that matters. The cheaper cap only benefits you if you never plan to cap. If you're rebuilding a real production business, you're going to cap. And once you cap, the split before capping is almost irrelevant because the real money is made after. The agent who focuses on the pre-cap splits are, in a sense, planning for moderate production. The competing model also raised its cap after paying heavily to bring in talent from other brokerages, which means the economics that were promised to some of the agents when they joined are no longer the same as the economics that they are operating under. That is worth paying attention to. Now, this is where the structural difference between the two models becomes very significant and where I think most comparisons fall short because the numbers look similar on paper until you understand how they actually work. The competing model runs 5 tiers of revenue share, where eXp runs 7. That gap compounds substantially over time. The deeper tiers are where long-term residual income lives. And if your model caps at 5, you're leaving 2 largest long-term tiers on the table. But the tier count isn't even the most important difference. It's the requirements to unlock your compensation. On the competing model, you need 5 frontline qualifying agents, which are agents you personally brought in who have closed at least 1 transaction in the last 6 months, and they continue to do that every 6 months, just to open your first tier of compensation. That means a meaningful percentage of agents on the platform receive 0 revenue share because they haven't hit that threshold. You could be building your network, doing everything right, and still not receiving the income you thought you were entitled to. eXp's current structure opens the first 3 tiers automatically. No threshold, no qualifying requirement. You're fully enrolled from day 1. The co-sponsorship difference is also very significant because on the competing model, the co-sponsorship splits the revenue share 45% to the primary sponsor, 45% to the co-sponsor, and 10% retained by their brokerage. By the time that flows through multiple tiers of 45%, you're talking about checks that can be as low as like $1 or $2. eXp's co-sponsorship structure pays both the primary and co-sponsor at 100% with 0 dilution from the company. 2 agents receive full compensation and nobody takes a cut in the middle. A lot of the pitch around the competing brokerage includes the idea that their stock is going to do what eXp's stock did when eXp first started growing, that there's a ground floor opportunity similar to what early eXp agents experience. But here's the problem with that framing. When eXp went public, it was categorized as a technology stock on NASDAQ because it was the first cloud-based brokerage doing something genuinely new. That categorization commanded technology company valuation. When the competing brokerage and other cloud-based brokerages entered the market, the category shifted. All cloud brokerages are now categorized as brokerage stocks, not technology stocks. Brokerage stocks carry significantly lower valuations than technology stocks. The conditions that created eXp's early stock performance no longer exist, not because eXp changed, but because the market categorization changed for the entire category. The ground floor was 10 years ago, and a brokerage that entered the market after eXp already created that category cannot recreate those conditions. I'm not saying stock has no value as part of a compensation package, but what I am saying is the specific promise being made that the stock will perform the way eXp stock did is not supported by how markets actually work. Now, one last structural point that rarely gets raised in these comparisons, and it ties directly back to the acquisition news. The Remax acquisition was an $880 million deal funded primarily through debt. eXp has never acquired another brokerage. It has grown organically from 0 to over 85,000 agents without taking on acquisition debt. The competing brokerage grew to around 31,000 agents in a similar time frame, but did so in part by paying heavily to acquire their talent, which is a fundamentally different growth model. When a brokerage carries significant debt, the pressure to service that debt lands somewhere else. Historically, that means tighter splits, higher fees, or changes to what was promised. A brokerage with no acquisition debt and organic growth doesn't carry that kind of pressure. That's a structural difference that affects the stability of everything else in the model. Now, I went through this comparison myself before making a decision, and I want to be honest that I looked at multiple models, not just eXp. I looked at the cap math, the revenue share structure, the stock, and the debt questions. When I ran the actual numbers and understood how the structures worked, not the headline figures, but the mechanics underneath, eXp was the clearer answer for me. 7 tiers versus 5, first 3 tiers open automatically, co-sponsorship at 100% for both parties, no acquisition debt, and a leadership structure where agents are shareholders. I'm still early in building my own revenue share. I'm not going to put numbers on the screen I haven't earned, but I am confident in the structure I am inside. And I wanted to give you the same information I had when I made that call. If you're in the middle of this comparison yourself and you want to talk through the specifics of your situation, please reach out. You can text me at 520-980-9880 or grab time on my calendar. The link is in the description. If you're genuinely evaluating your options and you want an honest breakdown from someone who's been through this process multiple times, that's exactly the kind of call that I am here for. So I will see you in the next one.